Yes, welcome to the greatest, most populous, most entertaining political show on YouTube. Yes, with me, Dermot, a Spurs fan, Philip and Ronan. Very relieved. Ronan's just come from back outside his sofa. He's just popped his head up, see if it's safe. Philip has come down from the roof because the last time he was up there, Tottenham were in the cup final and he couldn't get a proper picture. And he was left up there for the whole game and missed the penalty shootout. I'm talking about the 1921 cup final.
Oh, thanks,
and me, I was doing the watch long to it and I'm just absolutely relieved. But yes, Tottenham are staying up. West Ham are down. West Ham are now calling for a by-election somewhere in England. And apparently Nuno is in pole position for it to be Prime Minister. But joining me, of course, on this most popular podcast, of course, is my usual co-host, the man that I will be doing rugby internationals with. I still don't know how many points for a conversion. Don't know now. Never will. I think it's 10. It's my mate, Philip. How are you, Philip?
Yeah, I'm a lot better than I was about 27 hours ago, that's for sure. I'd say I never put in a day like yesterday, you know. It was just... No. Oh, every minute was an hour during that match. But anyway, we came out the right side.
And then the ref added 9 minutes at the end.
I know.
It's
West Ham only 4 minutes. West Ham only had 4.
And then even though it was like, not only did he add 9 minutes of extra time, he added another 3 minutes of extra time to the extra time. Now, it was unlikely Everton were going to get 2 goals in that time frame, but it was still just... You know,
but you know, do you notice what happened at half time as well? The officials' intercoms, whatever you want to call it, broke down. So it meant that the Spurs game was 6 minutes late kicking off, and it should have synced with the West Ham game. That they both finished around the same time. So that could have been nasty, now, if Everton had equalised, you know. But anyway, they didn't. So that's it. Anyway, Bernard, back to you.
Well, this man is down below. This man needs no introduction. He is Ireland's biggest bookseller. He is the biggest journalist in Ireland. He's been called many things. He's even been tipped to be the next president of Ireland. I don't know what he's going to say to that, but I'm sure Philip will give him his vote, and I will as well.
That's true. Yeah, I'll probably end up as many votes as Jim Gavin anyway. So
yes,
I think you do better than Jim Gavin. I think Jim Gavin should be looking at you. This is how I should have acted.
Yeah. Well, I don't have. If you're going to owe money to people, don't owe. If you're going to owe a back rent to people, don't owe it to journalists. You know,
that's true. Yeah, he sat on that one for a good while, didn't he?
Yeah.
He knew that would come back to haunt him.
Back rent to him, Philip. I have to pay that back rent of that building we rented off from 10 years ago. Did you pay it?
That's true. I'll let you pay it. No, I'll let you pay it.
We didn't.
Nice.
Anyway, right. Where are we starting, Mr. Brady?
I think we have to start with the 2 by-elections at the weekend, the Galway and the Dublin Central and Galway West. And Ronan, you've got a theory on this about, or discuss how badly Fianna Fáil did, especially losing the deposit in Dublin. But what about Sinn Féin? What's happened to Sinn Féin?
Well, it's a very... Look, it's a bad election for Fianna Fáil. There's no doubt about it. But I think we need to put things in perspective here, right? I mean, we're only a year and a half through the current government's term. They've got 3.5 years left. We've got a lot of time to turn it around. These are snapshots in time which take up all the oxygen in the air, but then they're forgotten about a couple of weeks after that. But just to talk about Fianna Fáil first, they had 2 bad candidates. Not bad candidates, but 2 very unknown candidates, 2 councillors, first-time councillors, not very experienced, no high profile, and there was a complete lack of energy, of course, about their election. In terms of Micheál Martin, I mean, he's not going anywhere until the new year at the very least, because Ireland takes the presidency of the EU as of the 1st of July. So we'll have to see what it looks like in the new year. You know, the received wisdom in Fianna Fáil is that if he goes, he'll go around March. It'll give his successor 6 months in the job as Taoiseach until Simon Harris takes over in November 2027, and then gives his successor 2.5 years to prepare for the next general election.
Okay.
But in relation to Sinn Féin, sorry?
Yeah, Sinn Féin.
Yeah, I think this is a fairly calamitous election for Sinn Féin. I mean, Janice, what's her name? Janice.
Dennis Boylan.
Sorry, I lost it. Janice Boylan. She polled pretty badly. She was very far behind Daniel Ennis, and more than that, this was, This is Mary Lou's home constituency. There was dizzy talk after 2020 that this would be a constituency in which Sinn Féin would get 2 seats. They've only got 1. They also had a very bad election in Galway West. Mark Lohan, he was never going to win the seat, but nevertheless, I mean, his vote was down 60% on that of Mairead Farrell in the Galway West general election. And the transfers that were happening don't look very good for Sinn Féin. Labour actually in Dublin Central actually transferred 2-1 to Fine Gael rather than Sinn Féin. You would think it would be the other way around. There was a chance for, after the euphoria around Catherine Connolly's victory in the presidential election, that the left would get its act together and put together a common platform. Sinn Féin said no to that, and I think that a lot of voters around the left of the spectrum now are really wondering whether or not Sinn Féin really belongs with them. So it's not a good election for Sinn Féin, all told.
It was quite unusual result in Galway West, where a government TD, a Fine Gael TD, actually won a by-election. I think that's only the third thing that's happened in the last 30 or 40 years.
Yes, it is. The last one was Helen McEntee when she took over from her father, but that didn't really register. I mean, that was very much a sympathy vote, family vote. Whereas Sean Kine was TD, was a minister, so he's very high profile. He's well regarded in Galway, and it was a very big. It's a very big win for Fine Gael in Galway. They didn't do too bad either in Dublin Central. Ray McAdam, he's been the Lord Mayor. He's been fairly high profile. Now, he didn't get anything near what Pascal Donoghue got, but I think the party they're pretty confident they'll get a seat there in Dublin Central in the next election.
What do you reckon, Dermot? What do you think will happen to Sinn Féin?
Look, it's very hard to know. Look, by-elections are an indication, aren't they, where the people are thinking and what people are going towards the next general election. Ronan, as you rightly say, that it's been a year and a bit since, this is the first major by-election. So the government will get hammering. I'm very surprised that Sinn Féin didn't put up a more of a candidate that would get the people's attention than they did. And I just feel that the people vote with their feet, and when people vote with their feet, then it is what it is. I think Micheál Martin can't survive this. I'll be surprised, Ronan, if he lasts to the end of the year.
No, he will. No, they're not going to change. They're not going to change leadership while the EU presidency is going on. It's not going to happen, Dermot. I mean, And Micheál Martin is very good at this sort of international thing. We saw with Trump as well. He's very good. So no, I don't see this happening. I mean, nobody in Fianna Fáil is going to move against him until the new year. And there'll still be 3 years until the next general election. So I think it just won't happen. Nobody's going to move against him for the time being.
The question I have for you two is, would there be more of a move on Mary Lou's position? Then out of the 3 leaders, is she the most in jeopardy of having a move made against her?
Yeah.
Good point.
Well, in a normal political party, she wouldn't have survived the 24 general election. Sinn Féin, even though they were the main opposition party against a not very popular government, lost over 20% of its share of the vote, went down from nearly 25% to less than 20%. When that happened to Michael Noonan in 2002 as the Fine Gael leader, he lost a similar share of the vote. He was turfed out on his ear. And I just don't... that's the third electoral disaster for Sinn Féin. I mean, they got only 12% of the vote in the local elections in 2024, and now we have this by-election where, a very, very poor result all told. I mean, there are big problems here for Sinn Féin. The front bench is the same practically as it was for the last 10 years. They're not convincing the public that they are the alternative government, and they're all things to all men at this stage, particularly in relation. They're all over the place in relation to the issue of immigration in particular. So, I mean, they're in a very big hole at the moment. But as I said, if a normal political party, there'd be rumblings about this, and there would be jockeying for position, but I don't see that happening at the moment.
Philip, I want to ask you a separate question, Philip, on this. Ryan makes a very good point that the front bench and Sinn Féin hasn't changed in the last decade, and we see the same faces every week on the leaders' questions, and it's the same arguments come from Sinn Féin. They're the ones making the noise if Neil Martin's trying to speak, or Simon House is trying to speak. I do find the pair of them a little bit patronising, I would say, towards Sinn Féin. So if they were to shake it up a bit, Philip, shake up the front bench, change the leader, would they have to go for a younger leader, one that could probably resonate with the younger voters in this country, and get rid of the front bench? Do you think that would probably make them more electable?
They're not going to change that front bench. Maybe an odd cosmetic change. I mean, that front bench, while they mightn't be doing too well with the polls at the minute, they're very good speakers. They're well trained in what they say. They mightn't do much, but they certainly can speak a good game. And the guy that I think would possibly be a good man to take over for Sinn Féin at the top job, in Mary Lou's job, would be Pierce Doherty. I don't know if you agree with me there, but Pierce Doherty's a very eloquent young guy. He's I don't agree with his politics, but he can talk, and he's very, very popular up in Donegal. I suppose, as you rightly said, Ronan, Mary Lou survived the election. She'll survive it again. She's a bit of a, how would you say, how many lives is she on now? How many of her 9 lives has she used up at this stage? But I think something would need to happen, some scandal or something to come up that would mean she leaves the position she's in the minute. I think otherwise she's there for the duration,
Yeah, I mean, you're right. They've got Sinn Féin have a big problem because they have the Soc Dems on the left, who are what Sinn Féin were 10 years ago. They're enthusiastic, they're young, they're energetic, they know how to communicate. And then on the right, they have Intu. I mean, Intu had a very, very bad election, but they've got that kind of socially conservative, anti-immigration sort of vote that Sinn Féin might normally expect. And then, of course, you have Independent Ireland. So they are being squeezed on all sides, and they've tried to play the sort of they've tried to be all things to all people, but it's not working. It's definitely not working, and they really need to have a good think about where they're going from now on, right? I mean, they have got 3 years to come up with an electoral strategy. In my view, they should be reaching out to the other parties of the left to put together a common platform, but it's not in their nature to do that. But like if they the question is this, in my view: are they a party of permanent opposition, or are they a party of government?
Good point.
Right?
Have they got the gumption of government? Have they got the gumption to be in government?
Have they got the policies? Have they got the policies? They can object to everyone else's policies, but have they got their own? That's why I always feel that there's something lacking there with policies.
Well, I mean, they've got some good ideas in relation to housing, for instance, but I mean, and they've got some ideas in relation to health as well. I mean, they're very much in favor of a public health service in this country, which should play well with voters. But part of the problem is they have 2 particular obsessions. One is the United Ireland, and the other is Palestine. And these 2 issues, they generate a lot of heat and in Irish society. But if you look at all the successful polls that are done, what's the most important issues? United Ireland and Palestine are down, in the single figure. So, I mean, the issues that matter to people are housing, immigration, and the cost of living. That's what people say day in, day out. And I mean, Sinn Féin are pretty good on the issue of cost of living, and they've been very vocal about the government's policies on rent, on the amount of evictions that have been the surge in evictions that there's been since the start of the year. But I think they really need to start thinking about their messaging and the personnel they have, because it seems to me it's not working for them anymore.
You mentioned Palestine, and I'm going to move on to that now in a moment. But just before we finish off with the election, one thing that kind of slipped a little bit under the radar in the Dublin Central vote was the 11% that Jerry Hutch got.
Yeah.
11% of the vote, which, carrying on from his presidential campaign, he came fourth in that election with 11%. I mean, as one of the papers put today, if he'd been successful, he's in the middle of fighting a money laundering conviction in Spain. So I thought that was, which is more important to him,
Sorry?
If that was a general election, he would have got in. Because isn't there 4 seats in
five? There's 5.
Yeah, he
there's 5. He would have got in.
I don't know because I mean he did well in the last election, but people aren't transferring to him. I mean, he might get in the next time round, and what's interesting is that between himself and Malachy Steenson, they got 7,000 votes, and their transfers went overwhelmingly to Sinn Féin. Now, those two candidates, their whole shtick is anti-immigration, and they're transferring to Sinn Féin, whereas the Labour Party, as I said to you before, Labour Party, the transfers in Dublin Central, very, very few of them went to Sinn Féin, which ostensibly is a left-wing party as well. So the party's has always had a problem with transfers, but it's not getting any better for them.
Dermot, we just move. Well, let's just introduce the segment. We're going to talk about the hijacking.
I just got one question, Philip.
Sorry, go on,
just to finish it, I've got one question. You mentioned the United Islands. For me, United Islands a long way off happening. But surely, if Sinn Féin want to be elected as government, shouldn't they park that now? Both of you, do you think they need to park it? And a question to each of you: what major policies should they change? Do you think that would make them more electable from the country? Philip, you go first. Which one policy?
Well, I think for Sinn Féin to park the idea of United Ireland would be taking away the retirees for existing. Well, but the majority of it,
Yeah, I don't mean park it. But if you could pick one sort of policy, what would it be?
Oh, boys, like that.
To change.
I know that they are very passionate about the Palestine thing, and maybe a little bit too much. Maybe just tone down the rhetoric a little bit. I know it's a very serious situation out there. Other than that, I'm not. Something. Their housing policy, I suppose, is radical. I think maybe it's too radical. Maybe it could not be implemented. I don't know really.
Sorry, carry on.
It's a very tricky question. It's hard to know really. I'm researching which.
Sorry.
No. I'll get you back for that. But anyway.
Well, they've spoken about a mini budget, which the government refused to implement after the fuel protest there last month, and the government said we can't simply react to every situation. They wanted to have the
fuel subsidies brought back in.
Just basically brought back for everybody. But the government, I think, was right about this in the sense that if we do this now, what are we going to have left when it comes to if we get into a really big crisis situation? One of the interesting things from the by-election is that Noel Thomas, who, as we know, the Independent Ireland guy who topped the poll, did very, very, very well, but he didn't get elected because he didn't get transfers. And it seems to me that a lot of the heat and the anger out of the fuel process has dissipated. I think that, and also, I mean, their very strong anti-immigration stance as well meant that he didn't get transfers from anybody. And in fact, it was the Fianna Fáil, you would think that because he's ex-Fianna Fáil, that a lot of the transfers will go from Killian Keane, who's the Fianna Fáil candidate, to Noel Thomas. But actually, the opposite happened. They all went to Sean Coyne and took Sean Coyne over the line.
Right. There you go. Is that all right, Dermot?
Yeah, sorry for the tricky question. Sorry.
That's all right. That's okay. Now, Palestine, the interception of the boats, the flotilla the other day by the Israeli soldiers in international waters has rightly caused a lot of outrage as being an illegal act. They have no right to do it. As Israel got to the stage now, they can do what they like with impunity because they know nobody like Donald Trump is not going to pick them up on it.
Yeah, that's the short answer. I mean, what happened with Ben Gvir last week was, I think, symptomatic, really, of the way that the Palestinians have been treated for years and years and years. It showed an ugly, vengeful, crass side to the Israelis, and of course, Netanyahu disowned this behavior by Ben Gvir, as did the foreign minister Gideon Sa'ar, but he's still in the cabinet.
Yeah,
he's still in the Israeli cabinet. He is still the minister for justice, and he's ahead of the police. So, like, I just don't believe a word of it. I think his biggest problem was that he was caught. Basically, it's not what he actually did that was the problem. The problem was that he did it in front of an international audience.
And do you know why one country's sort of go to Israel and say to the Israeli Prime Minister, "Look, you can't be doing this"? I mean, everyone seems to be. They have, but he won't take any notes. But why won't America? That's the point, right? I'm trying. Why won't Donald Trump go over there and say, "Hang on a minute, you can't be doing this"? Why won't he do it? What's the reason?
Well, I mean, the Israeli, the American ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, was quite disgusted by Ben Gvir's treatment. But of course, he's an Israeli supporter, Zionist true and true, who believes that Israel should be able to take over the whole of the Middle East. It's not correct that there is an international pressure on Israel at the moment. There was a letter signed by all the big countries in Europe plus Canada, Spain, Italy, Germany, France, the UK, and Canada, talking about illegal settlements in the West Bank. And it was a very strong letter, but the Israelis just don't care, and they're in an election cycle as well, so they're all sort of positioning themselves for this general election, which means they're not going to pay any attention to what other countries in the world think about them. The only leverage really that Europe have is the favored status agreement that Israel has in terms of trade. If that were to be withdrawn, and Ireland is one of those countries along with Spain who favors that, then that could really hurt Israel. But the problem with the EU is has always been the same problem. They can't reach a consensus on this, and there are other countries who won't support this. So we are where we are, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that's actually we might erroneously thought that Israel still had an ambassador in Ireland. I believe she left a couple of years ago and wasn't replaced.
Yeah, she did, and we still have an ambassador in Israel, but they took their ambassador out. Dana Ehrlich was her name, and they're not missed, to be honest with you. She was complaining about Ireland being the country most hostile in the world to Israel. That's not true, and it's just. But I think the Ben Gvir stuff last week was a real wake up call to a lot of countries. I mean, you have the likes of Italy, which has turned against Israel now. Germany as well. Friedrich Merz has been has come out very, very clearly about the levels of settler violence in the West Bank. But again, they're not like, this is just talk. It's just talk. I mean, how are you going to? It seems to me that the Israelis are acting with complete impunity at the moment, and they're untouchable, and they behave like they're untouchable.
Yeah, but that was some very, very bad optics with the government minister being caught in with the verbally abusing the guys on the flotilla. I mean, but as you rightly say, if that happened anywhere else, he'd be sacked. He'd be gone in the morning.
Yeah,
but
and he's not.
They'll probably promote him.
What does that tell you about Israeli politics? I mean, don't judge them by what they say. Judge them by what they do. He should have been turfed out of office. And there's a lot of ex-Israeli ambassadors and so on who said that he has really embarrassed the country internationally, and that he should be gotten rid of. But he's not going to do it.
But what about the treatment of the flotilla people? I mean, they were tied up with their hands behind their back with zip ties. Yeah. Some of them, there's rumors or alleged sexual assault on some of them. I mean, surely that's not going to finish there. That's going to carry on. That's going to be brought to some of the human rights courts in due course.
I mean, if they do that to international activists in front of the TV cameras, what do they do to Palestinian prisoners when the camera's not on?
Exactly. What do you say, Dermot? What do you think? Is it really terrible what's going on? Terrible that. Well, in a way, I suppose you think about it, we all know what's happening in Palestine and in Gaza, but now our own citizens have been subject to the same type of treatment now. So it's really knocking it home that this is a problem that's not going to go away quickly.
No, and the government have to do more. The government have to be strong. They have to be strong with Israel. But it comes down again that America has to do a lot more. Yeah. America's not doing a lot at the moment. And Donald Trump is quite happily today. The Israeli Prime Minister and his government bomb Hezbollah as much as they like when there is supposed to be a peace plan in place. Let him run riot, let him do what he wants, and not say boo to him. And Irish citizens are now being attacked. And what I've been sitting here listening to you both talking, and I'm horrified that this is happening in international waters. And our government is not doing anything about it. It's okay sending a strong-worded letter. This country should boycott everything that comes from Israel. Boycott food. Boycott. My wife now, she will not buy anything that comes from Israel. That goes for grapes or anything. Mm-hmm. And we don't buy anything Israel in this house because we boycott it because it's our way of protesting what they've done to the Palestinian people. What they've done to these people and these flotillas as well. And okay, the argument back from that, the Palestinian people, well, people just lobbed them in with the same with everybody else, but they're not. There's a lot of innocent people there that were being killed, hospitals being blown up, schools being blown up, and nothing's been done about it. The Americans won't do nothing. What's Donald Trump's greatest plan? Let's bulldoze the whole thing and make it into the new Monaco of the Middle East. I mean, that man hasn't got a Scooby what's going on. And there's people starving, there's people homeless, there's people being attacked, there's people being dragged, as you rightly say, Ronan, as well. What did they do to the Palestinian prisoners when the cameras are not there? God only knows what goes on. And again, America's supposed to be the biggest country in the world, supposed to be the leader of the free people. Well, do something about it. Get strong with Israel. Take away your support. Take away your independence from them because Israel's like a naughty child that won't do what it's told. America's the parent, and the parent is not disciplining the child. Telling them don't take time out.
Well, there is certainly a fault line now between Israel and the United States, but not for the reasons. It's not because the United States is very upset about them targeting Hezbollah in Lebanon and killing loads of civilians or killing loads of civilians in Gaza. The problem is that Trump is itching to make a deal to get himself out of this ridiculous Iranian situation that he's found himself in, and the Israelis don't want it. The Israelis have overplayed their hand. They were the ones who started this war. They persuaded Trump to get involved, and now we're in a situation whereby basically Trump is going to leave the current regime in place, and the Israelis are very upset about that. But boo to them. I mean, they were the ones who started this war, and they're now in a situation whereby basically even the United States has abandoned them in terms of Iran. If the United States makes a deal with Iran and the Israelis don't like it, well, tough, that's the way it's going at the moment. So it's not all one-way traffic with this relationship at the moment.
But what interests me now, Netanyahu waited 15 years to get this opportunity to do what he's doing.
Yeah.
In Palestine. He went into Barack Obama when he took office, and Obama kicked him out. Wouldn't hear him. He went into Biden. Biden did exactly the same. Then he waited for the useful idiots in the White House to come along, and look what we're on now.
Yeah.
He just bided his time. Any sane man would have said, "God, what are you talking about?" And now the world is in crisis because of one man's ambition and one man's stupidity.
The one question I would ask,
two men's stupidity.
Two men's stupidity. Yeah.
The one question I would ask, and I put it out there, is if Donald Trump did get a deal with Iran, which I think it'd be the totals climb down retreat ever by an American president and anything they've gone in to do. Could Israel continue their war against Iran?
No, not really.
No, I don't think so. I think Trump. What's going to happen here, I think, is Trump is going to agree to a settlement and quietly exit, and he'll claim a victory. But anyone that digs into it will find it's just the opposite. He'll be humiliated. America has been humiliated at this. But he'll.
Well, you know what? You'll get away with it because the American public are so sick of this war. All they care about is their gas prices going down below $4 a barrel, and they'll say, "We don't care whether this is humiliating or not. We don't care whether this is an affront to the United States. We just want cheaper gas." And so I think again, he's going to get away with this. But I think we just all want this war to end because it's gone on far too long.
I think November might tell a tale, Ronan. I think there might be changes there.
Yeah.
The Democrats take back the House and maybe the Senate. Then I think Donald Trump effectively becomes a lame duck.
He does,
Then there'll be retribution. Will be swift and merciless, hopefully.
And we will bring that live. We will bring that live. Me and Philip and hopefully, we will be bringing the elections live, probably for a couple of hours into the early hours of the morning.
Yeah,
but we will be bringing
results pretty quickly there.
Well, count me in for that, lads.
Oh yeah, but I'm just thinking here. I don't think I've ever. You hear of corruption in like Argentina and Hungary and places like this, but we've got a president of the United States now who's openly corrupt in plain sight. He's not even trying to hide it. I mean, this 1776 slush fund to pay off anybody that invaded the Parliament, the Capitol building in January 6th, that might have been discommoded or disconvenienced by the government. One of the Proud Boys is claiming between 2.5 and 10 million. I mean, I think that could be a straw that breaks the camel's back. I think there's a lot of Republicans are looking at this and this is a bridge too far. We cannot support this. So do you think that could be a big problem for Trump if he loses this one?
I like yourself. I mean, Philip, I just despair of Trump being ever held to account for anything. But this fund, just to put it in perspective, is $1.776 billion. It's a fund. Obviously, the figure is related to the fact that this is the 250th year of the United States. And this is basically a slush fund, which the Department of Justice in the United States used to appropriate a certain amount of money to pay off federal legal cases, in sometimes well-justified cases, like in cases, for instance, where an Indian tribe might have been put off their land for whatever reason, and they're claiming compensation from the federal government, and they receive it. And I think Obama put aside about $700 million to pay some Indian tribe which had won a case against the federal government, which is fair enough. This is something completely different. This is basically a fund whereby Trump will have discretion as to who to pay federal compensation to. And in his case, he wants to pay federal compensation to those people who try to usurp the democratic will of the American people on the 6th of January, 2021. It's absolutely outrageous. This is banana republic stuff. This is, and you think about what happened, what the United States was supposed to be about. It was supposed to be about laws, governments. It's supposed to be a government of laws, not men, right? And you have this instance where this guy is usurping. He's taking the Constitution of the United States apart day after day after day. And you know what? I'm a big fan of U.S. history. I've read many, many books. I have never seen the United States in such a perilous position as it is now. Because even during the Civil War, most people, most of the states were united in the sense that they supported Lincoln and the Constitution held. But this is just, it's sickening. And the most sickening part of all of it is that nobody's trying to stop him.
And I think the problem you've got here is Todd Blanche, the acting Attorney General in the Department of Justice, which has become basically Trump's personal solicitors, if you like now.
Yeah.
They're doing his bidding rather than being neutral, which they always weren't under any other president.
Yeah, it's outrageous. We keep saying this is the straw that breaks the camel's back, but what Edmund Burke said about for evil to flourish. It's enough for good men to do nothing, and I'm not saying that there are good men in the U.S. Congress. There aren't. There's an awful lot of bad ones, but this is just banana republic stuff. It really is. It's absolutely disgraceful.
Yeah. Dermot, what do you reckon?
I'm sitting here in disbelief. I'm thinking, how can this man run a country? How can this be allowed? I mean, we've gone through our own type of corruption in this country with Charlie Hottie and some of the Taoiseachs that came before him and after him. But we've seen corruption, but never on this level.
No,
never on this level. And we can all have a go at Putin. We can all have a go at the presidents in Hungary or whatever. But Donald Trump has to be the most corrupt politician ever to be elected to office. Yeah, and how he has the goal to say that election was stolen from me. Yeah. Please just go back into the old people's home you came from, sit in there and just be fed McDonald's for the rest of your life, because you're talking absolute gibberish.
Did you hear what some of the appointment hearings recently for judges? And I think it was Senator Coons of a Democrat senator was asking the question, who won the 2021 election or 2020 election? Joe Biden was inaugurated on the 20th of January, 2021. Yeah. None of them would answer the question because they knew if they did, their nomination would be pulled and they'd probably be never heard of again.
Another one was, I think it's the 22nd Amendment to the Constitution, which puts term limits for president, 2 terms.
Judges, yeah.
The judges. One of the guys says, "Well, I'm not an expert in constitutional law. My background's in criminal law." Did you ever hear the like? What they say about fish rotting from the head down. I mean, Trump is the fish here, but it comes back to this. Far too many people in the United States are prepared to do his bidding for him. That's why he gets away with it. So, he's only one man. The system turned on him in the morning, he'd be out the door, but they won't. And he's a terrible indictment of where America's at the moment, I think.
Shocking.
And let's hope it goes. I want to end on a little bit of a geeky move from me. I like my space, and I like my going to the moon, and we will broadcast landing on the moon. I mean, Philip's a lucky bugger. He's seen it twice. Jammy get. I'm going to see it once. Look at him sitting there. I've seen it twice. There.
You barely see it. All it was grainy black and white TV at that stage. But anyway, go on.
Anyway, when's that back in 1901, Philip, or 1912 or something like that?
You're on very thin ice there, boy. You're very thin ice. Don't go skating.
Anyway, more horses head being sent down from me from the Godfather. Right. China. Astronauts are on a new mission to spend a year in orbit. China
Wow.
launched its rocket yesterday. We'll see Chinese astronauts spend a whole year orbiting for the first time, a crucial step in Beijing's ambition to send humans to the moon by 2030. I mean, Philip, look, there is a space race between the Americans and between China. Look, we know the Americans are going to win because they're going to fake it and they're going to build a big set in Hollywood.
Here we go again. Here we go again.
No, seriously. I mean, that's how they won the last space races. They're going to win this one. Nobody's going to know the difference. But China, are you secretly hoping China beat America to the moon? No. Would that be a little bit of a up the earth sort of thing from the Chinese?
If they do, a fair boost them. But I mean, how can you survive a year of Chinese takeaways? God almighty. Probably come back about 3 times the weight they were when they went up, you know. That might even stop the thing landing on the moon. It'd probably put it off course and miss it.
Seriously, though, with them spending a year up there, isn't that sort of, why are they doing it? Because the Americans haven't done that. So why are they doing it?
They've been told to by Mr. Zing, or whatever you call him, the Z. I don't know. Like, listen, you know how advanced the Chinese are technology-wise. You know, I mean, it's no surprise that they can do that. You know, they're probably sending up a food truck alongside it.
Yeah.
But no, it wouldn't really bother me. I'd quite welcome it. I think it'd be good to give the Americans a run for their money. I remember in the day when it was Russia trying to get to the moon first and America beat them. You know, so this is something similar. This is the 21st century version of it. You know?
What is there some indication that China is going to go to the moon? Because it's not, the United States is supposed to go in the next 2 years, isn't that right?
Yeah, it is. It's the next 2-3 years, but they want to send humans to the moon by 2030. China. Yeah,
but as far as I'm aware, the United is it not the case that the US is going to go in 27 or 28?
Yeah. They're doing Artemis 3 is not the one that's going to the moon. It's going to be Artemis 5, I think.
Yeah.
Just let me double check on this. They aim to return humans to the moon by 2028.
Yeah. That's right.
So that's
and they're well on course for that because obviously Artemis 2 is a very big success. So when is Artemis 3 going?
Later this year, I think.
Yeah.
Later this year, I think. Just let me double check on that. Let me double check. Just take over for a minute, Philip. Let me find the dates.
I mean, I don't remember the moon landing, so I would be incredibly excited about that. And I didn't think it was going to happen at all. But I'm starting to believe now after Artemis 2, which was a very successful mission. And so we got 3, 4, and then 5 is 2028. So, well, I mean, the Chinese 2030... Like I think the United States are going to go back there before then. I mean, the way things are going anyway, you know. That's a question.
I think the what do you call it? The excitement. This is a whole new generation. This is like people in my generation have seen it all before. This is all going to be new, and it's. But I mean, I'm just thinking though. I mean, budget-wise, the cost of this must be just incredible because, like, you remember back in 1969, all the computer work was done manually, written out, and the ship that went to the moon in 1969 had an iPhone has bigger computing power than that.
That's right. Yeah.
So you think about that was an achievement. Now, not so much because technology has moved on so much that it'll be a lot easier for them to do it now than it used to be.
Yeah, and they've got the private sector involved, which is
Elon Musk, I'm sure, somewhere in there, you know.
So, I mean, they can afford it. I mean, it'd still be a lot less than this stupid war they're doing in Iran.
Oh, well, that's true.
I don't think money is the issue here. I think the issue will be obviously with our health and safety culture nowadays, you know. They want to make sure that everything is done right. Did you find out?
I did. Launch date is late 2027. That's planned. And they're planning to do with Artemis 3 is to test all the because they're going to put a lunar to it as well, to what they did with, I think it was Apollo 8 and Apollo 7 and 8, I think. They're going to teach it, and then Apollo, then Artemis 4 and Artemis 5 and Artemis 6 all going to land on the moon. So late 2027. It is already built, Artemis 3. It's already been transferred now to the assembly place.
When is it leaving? When is it leaving?
It's already left. Parts of it have already left.
No, but when is it due to launch? When's the launch date?
Late 2027. Late next year.
Have you put your name down? Have you put your name down as one of the astronauts yet, Dermot?
Oh yeah, I have. Yeah, you and me are going, Philip.
No. I'll wave you off. You can go.
Yeah, I'm going to take a gorilla with me from the zoo. Anyone listen to Seamus Moore? We're punching on the moon. No, exactly what I'm talking about. A man from Kerry and a gorilla went to the moon to find leprechauns. Apparently, George Bush said there was leprechauns on the moon, and we had to go and find out. Who do you send? Send the Kerry man.
That's what I'd like to know.
Yeah, there was. The Kerry man nicked it and gave it to a cork man. But anyway, on that's for next week's podcast. Find out what happened to the goal. Philip, do you want to talk about anything else before we wrap up?
No, I think we'll wrap it up. I think we've covered all the subjects we want to tonight. All's good with the world at the minute. Tottenham are still in the Premiership. And,
that's all that matters, really. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. I
do have a little bit of breaking news, Tottenham news, actually, on the end of this podcast. This is from Fabrizio Romero. I'm waiting to get it confirmed because I know everyone trusts Fabrizio. I don't. So I'll wait to get it confirmed from my man that Tottenham have been in advanced talks for weeks with Andy Robertson over a free transfer deal close. The deal is very close, but Juventus have also entered the race and trying to hijack the move with a proposal. Decision up to Robinson now.
I'd say he'll come to Spurs, actually.
I'd say he'll go to Spurs.
He's young kid. He won't want to get Italy, that stage.
There's
talk about going to Spurs and then moving to Celtic to finish off his career.
Here we go.
Yeah, I know.
All right, guys, I'm going to head off.
Hey, lads. Ronan, thanks a million for coming on as usual. We'll talk to you soon.
We'll see you again very soon, all right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
See you, Ronan. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. We'll take Ronan out there now. Philip, that is it. That's the end of another successful podcast where we've put the work right, where you've told Donald Trump what you think of him. Ronan's told the Irish tea shop what he thinks of him. And I've just sat here and laughed and think it was a hilariously funny podcast altogether. When we're back next, Philip, when's our next podcast?
I think Monday night looks to be sort of settling in as a good night for it,
Yeah. So we're back next Monday night.
Next Monday night.
9:30. So do join us for more laughs, more giggles, more political rows. Philip talking sense, me gibberish, and then Ronan just say, "Look, I'm the big daddy here. I know what I'm talking about."
Exactly.
We leave it to him. Thank you all for watching. And now we're going to run out. Please do like and subscribe to the channel, but do me one thing. Please learn the Trump dance because Philip will show how it's done next year. See, there we go. On that bombshell, see you next week. Bye-bye.